Hello, my name is Tina, and today we are going to be talking about the Amish culture. Other presenters to follow include Allison, Nelson, and Jessica. This is just a quick 2-minute video just giving you a brief overview of the Amish culture. Take a look.
For a group that doesn't believe in watching television, the likeness of the Amish and some Amish people themselves has been featured on many a program. Still, there exists a lot of gaps in the story. Here are 10 things you may not know about the Amish. Number 10. They have their own language. It's called Pennsylvania Dutch, and is called such due to the large number of Amish people living in the namesake state. The tongue is a combination of Dutch, English, and German. Number 9. Riding in cars is fine. Owning, driving, or even having one within the confines of the community is what's forbidden. Number 8. School attendance past the 8th grade is rare. Based on the 1972 Supreme Court ruling in Wisconsin versus Yoder, the Amish are given an exception to regular U.S. truancy laws on the basis of religious freedom. Number 7. The Amish are not a cult. Their religion is of the Christian variety. One unique aspect is that they practice adult baptism. They also don't engage in evangelism. Number 6. Beard growing doesn't start until after marriage. Marriage doesn't happen until the person's been baptized. Number 5. The Amish don't go to church. Rather, they have community Sunday service in their own homes. On average, each family hosts once a year. Bigger communities get broken down into smaller, more manageable districts. Number 4. Amish brides make their own dresses. That it be blue is required by some groups, but others leave the color option open. After the wedding day, the woman wears the dress for Sunday services and is eventually buried in it. Number 3. Some technology gets the green light. The decision about what can enter the community is based upon how good it will be for it. Regardless of what's adopted, it cannot require the use of the public energy grid. The sun and batteries are the preferred power sources. Number 2. They believe modern medicine is acceptable. However, they don't believe in insurance. Any treatment or hospital care that is required is paid for by a community fund. Number 1. The Amish pay taxes. All sorts of them actually. Property, income, sales, and so on. What they don't participate in is the Social Security system. Their opposition to it is that they see it as a form of insurance, which, as mentioned, they don't do. It's their belief that as a community, it's their responsibility to care for one another.
In the early 1500s, Roman Catholics were the only religion during this time. Catholics believe in infant baptism. Through this belief, the Protestant Reformation began in 1517 against the Catholics' belief of infant baptism. In 1525, the Anabaptist movement began. It was led by the rebel leader Jacob Admin, who formed the anti-Baptist movement and called it Amish, and this is how the Amish began. The Anabaptists believed that only adults should be baptized because they understood the Bible and mature enough and willing to obey the Bible. Amish believe in living the simple life and are resistant to modern technology. They follow a set of rules called the Ordong. The Ordong is founded on the belief that we should live our life in the submission of God's will. Not every practice of the Amish is supported by Scripture, but the Ordong supports the Amish well-being and their desire to live in harmony. A new Amish community is founded every 3.5 weeks. The Amish community is one of the fastest growing communities in the U.S. The settlements have been founded since 1990. There are approximately 251,000 Amish communities throughout the U.S. and Canada. 456 Amish settlements and 29 states reside the Amish communities. Amish settlements are mostly found in the Midwest and Great Lake region. Ohio currently occupies the most Amish population with 60,000. Pennsylvania is second with 59,000, and Indiana is third with 44,000. When looking at the poverty rates of the Amish family incomes, I focused in on Ohio State and the two communities of Holmes County and Salt Creek Township. I found that 42.68% of the Amish family incomes estimate between 35 and 49,000 annually. Less than 5% earn 50 to 74,000 annually. A significant number of the Amish communities live below national poverty line. 22.28% of Salt Creek and 18.75% of Holmes County fall in the national poverty line bracket. The Amish life expectancy is between 77 and 78%, according to the CDC 2012. The Amish is from German and Swedes descent. There are no statistical data for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer among the Amish. I did find through my research that obesity is common among Amish women. Skin complexion ranges from light to olive tones. Hair and eye color vary. Due to the limited gene pool, Amish health conditions related to genetics include dwarfism, cartilage hair hypoplasia, manic depressive disorder, hemophilia B, and limb-girdle muscular dystrophy.
Communication. Communication amongst the Amish population is Pennsylvania German, while their communication amongst non-Amish people is English. Education, including reading and writing, is predominantly taught English. Fear of introducing foreign concepts or ideas into their culture, Amish selectively use technology for means of communication. TVs, radios, and personal computers are strictly forbidden. Cultural affiliations for the Amish. The Amish culture is strictly affiliated with the Protestant Christian culture, living mainly in the rural areas of Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. The Amish people take pride in their non-traditional or old-school lifestyle as they see it to preserve their religious identity. The Amish are only allowed, according to specific cultural sanctions, to trade or benefit from goods from the non-Amish consumers for certain items, for example, clothing. The Amish believe their foundation of wisdom is based off living their life according to strict rules and regulations. The Amish believe these strict guidelines aid in the development of communities, their sense of belonging, and definitive Amish identity. They believe these structures are key concepts to happiness for the Amish people. The Amish believe the well-being of their community takes precedence over their own personal rights. Cultural sanctions. The Amish are referred to as Anabaptists, meaning baptism is something chosen when they reach adulthood. Once baptized, they agree to formally commit their lives to a set of ordinances and rules called the Ordnung. The Ordnung is coordinated and overseen by the elder clergymen of the church. For example, the Ordnung permits the Amish from driving and owning their own personal vehicles, but people of the Amish community may travel in vehicles of people of non-Amish affiliations. Any non-agricultural local jobs are subjective to the Ordnung. The Ordnung disapproves any formal assistance from the government and Social Security as previously stated, leaving the Amish to provide full care and responsibility for the sick and needy. The Ordnung permits the Amish children from attending public high school, in fear of their youth leaving the Amish community and turning against the Amish way of life. Adults who have accepted baptism and the Ordnung rules and ways of life must strictly adhere to their guidelines, or punishment for non-compliance is isolation from the community and members of their family, termed shunning. Developmental considerations. When the Amish adolescents reach the age of 16 and prior to commitment of baptism, they are permitted to leave the Amish community and explore the world. For most, they have completed their highest grade of school permitted in the Amish community, which is the 8th grade. This period of freedom is called Rumspringa. They have the choice to drive vehicles, wear modern clothing, use modern technology, and socialize with the non-Amish people. This period of freedom usually ends when they choose to marry or enter baptism. Beyond popular belief, you will find many Amish living in non-secluded areas among non-Amish families. Economics in the Amish culture. The majority of the Amish culture live off their income of their agricultural lifestyle. The farming industry is unable to provide adequate income for their large families, so many Amish have attended to other skilled work for income needs. You will find many Amish engaging in work from small town businesses, both Amish and non-Amish affiliated. Like all Americans, the Amish are required to pay all taxes. These taxes include income, property, sales, estate, corporate, and school. Some Amish people even pay double taxes, paying for both public and private Amish schools. The Amish view the Social Security and workmen's compensation as a form of commercial insurance. In 1965, the U.S. Congress cleared them from payment obligations or participation on Social Security benefits.
Hello, my name is Nelson Pacheco, and along with Allison Brewster, Tina Secaroli, Jessica Royce, we are Group 4 from Dr. Henn's class. Our group project is on the Amish community. And the topics that we cover will be education, health, kinship, nutrition, and religion. The education background of the Amish is definitely different than ours. They believe in going to school for 8 years until 8th grade and graduating and not going beyond that. There is a ruling, 1972 ruling, Supreme Court ruling that gives them that right. So most of the Amish don't go past the 8th grade. One of the largest Amish community in the world is in Ohio. And as you can see on my slide, some of the counties show some pretty high percentage of adults without high school diploma. This could be a reason that their health literacy, what we call health literacy, is limited in the population. And what we mean by health literacy is just having basic information on your health. Examples are when to get your blood pressure check or a routine blood pressure check or doing an annual checkup with your doctor. The Amish don't commonly do this. Their culture, according to Kazis, this culture, the culture they carry, affects their health, behaviors, and outcomes. Not only the Amish's health behaviors are different or unpredictable, but their definition of health and illness is definitely different than ours. For the Amish, being healthy means having a good appetite, looking physically fit, and a good days of work. On the other hand, illness means failure to work. With these two definitions, it's very difficult to treat this population, this unique population, because they don't seek medical help unless they are acutely ill or a traumatic event. If they get admitted, the mental state is Based on Rogers' research, the length of stay is shorter than the rest of America, the American population. One reason that the Amish length of stay in the hospitals is shorter than the rest of America is because they pay everything in cash. They pay their medical bills in cash. They do not believe in the Social Security benefits. They do not contribute, and they do not carry health insurance. They pay by assistance from their community neighbors. So they'd rather make that shorter, so they pay less, and they bring the person home. When they bring the person home, they do their own caretaking at home, whether the patient is acute ill, disabled, elderly, even if they're terminally ill, they'll take the responsibility. They do get not only do they get assistance from the community as far as financially, they also get assistance taking care of the person, which could be beneficial for the caretaker and the patient, seeing different faces and just taking the burden, sharing the burden, if you will, of the ill, of the patient that's being ill, the person is ill. They also do not believe in Western medicine, so their home remedies need to be included in the plan of care. So also another challenge for us as providers if we are working with the Amish population. So what makes the building blocks of the Amish society is immediate family, extended family, and the church district. Typical family, immediate family is they raise about 7 children, but it's not uncommon for an Amish family to have 10 kids, 10 children. They marry within their culture. Very rare. You might get somebody from the not from the culture, but that's it's very very rare. It's a lot of for that reason. There's a lot of cousins that marry each other. So this could have as far as health issues. This could cause some problems. There's certain conditions that are not common in American culture, but it could be more common in the Amish society, such as the Craiger-Niger syndrome. This is a syndrome that affects bilirubin. It affects the breakdown of bili in the liver, which it could be a bad prognosis, which lead to death. So just to keep that in mind as a caretaker, if you work with the Amish population. As far as gatherings, the Amish society, they do have gatherings, single women with single women, and single men with single men, and couples. They do get together, they sing, they dance, they play sports, and they have fun, just like the rest of us. So speaking of having fun and singing and eating, the Amish also love to eat, like we do. And they are known. The Amish are known for being great farmers and storing their own food. They preserve their vegetables, their fruits, and their meats, and they do this by canning. As far as cooking, they use charcoal and kerosene oil. And a typical meal for Amish is noodles, macaroni, potatoes, canned foods, and fried meats. So speaking of frying, they do like to fry a lot. It could be a concern for their as far as health issues with their cholesterol and blood pressure. And again, we go back to what makes this a concern is that the Amish cultures don't seek medical treatment or medical assistance unless it's true emergency. And the last topic I will cover will be religion and spirituality. The old traditional Amish, they believe in the old order Amish Mennonite Church. Their beliefs is that they do not pray in churches. They do not have churches. They do not have temples or a central building for prayer. They believe in praying in homes, in people's homes. So what happens is that each Sunday they rotate throughout the church community, and whoever is hosting the services that day is also going to have food afterwards. As far as services, they are done in two languages: High German and Pennsylvania Dutch. There's some regulations that they follow, and there's what's called a blueprint. It's called the Ordnung, and this is just pretty much an oral tradition that is passed from generation to generation, and it pretty much says the Amish how to behave. Such traditions as riding a wagon with a horse, men wearing a beard without a mustache, dressing for men and women, and what to speak, speaking their dialect. Baptism in this faith takes place as a young adult, and what's happening, what was the young adult is deciding that he or she is going to follow this faith. Is going to follow the Ordnung for the rest of their lives. So to conclude, I cover the topics I covered was education, health, kinship, nutrition, and religion. But I see a theme among all these topics, and the theme is community. In every situation, whether it's any issues or whatever they're doing is the community. They do it as a whole, so they pretty much know each other as neighbors. So this is one thing to keep in mind as a healthcare provider: to treat and to diagnose an Amish person, you need to not only keep in mind their immediate family and extended family, but also their church family. So just to keep that in mind as future providers. And I thank you for your attention.
The Amish values orientation is maintained by a lifestyle that holds humility, simple living, and resignation as some of their core values. The most noticeable physical assessment finding of an Amish person would be their way of dress. Their general appearance is usually clean and well kept. Women would be wearing a simple long-sleeved solid colored dress with an apron fastened with pins or snaps. She would wear a white prayer covering if married and a black one if she's not married. She would have long hair because Amish women do not cut their hair, and she would not be wearing any jewelry. The men typically wear a solid colored shirt with a straight cut suit with suspenders and a black or straw hat, and he would usually have a long beard, or it could be a short beard. Cultural values play a huge part in the Amish community. They reach out to those in need. They typically place their church commitments over their family commitment, although family does play a large role in the Amish values and beliefs. Ownership of land, frugality, hard work, and honesty are valued attributes, and all generations of the Amish community typically live together on the same farm. Although when couples retire, for example, they may move to an attached house on the same farm or to a house that's close to other family members on that farm. Their way of dress is seen as a sign of humility and expression of their faith, and it sets them aside from the rest of the world. There is no marriage outside of the Amish community, and they do not get divorced. They are involved in monogamous relationships, and they value children highly, and that seems to be the primary role of the parent, is having children and raising them to care for their younger brothers and sisters.
and they will also help care for their parents if they become older and unable to take care of themselves. When caring for the Amish, we as nurse practitioners should take careful consideration of their spiritual beliefs and their cultural beliefs and values. We should show respect for them and their way of life to create a good partnership in order to establish trust and initiate discussions with them about alternative healthcare practices. We should create a healthcare plan based on low-cost options, and we should incorporate natural remedies and spiritual perspectives if possible. It's important to recognize that they value the mind-body-spirit connection in making our decisions about healthcare plans for the Amish. We should also provide educational materials that are culturally appropriate, and we should always remember that change takes time. Many times in the Amish community, when you try to incorporate change, it will trickle down to other members of the community and so forth. So you must just remember that it will take time in order to make any changes within this community. One good tip is that the nurse practitioner must take time to explore and understand their own cultural biases and beliefs to fully appreciate the difference of the Amish beliefs.